Hello, welcome to another episode of the Enthusiast Experiment. I'm your host, Mike, and today we are doing a review that has been a long time coming. I apologize for the wait. Hopefully it's worth it, but we're finally reviewing the OURA Ring 2nd generation. I do have a little gaffer's tape on here to hide the QR code so we don't have to do all the nonsense that we did in the last video. So disregard that. I have the app as well standing by. And we'll run through this really quick, or try to at least, to give you guys a look. They have made quite a few changes, which is one of the reasons why I kept postponing the video. They kept doing some pretty significant updates to the app itself, and just kind of wanted to show you at least the latest version when I was doing my review. And then I'll show you kind of how the Ring has held up over this time. And then I do have quite a bit of suggestions for the folks over at OURA, and I would love to hear your suggestions down below too once we get there. But for now, let's just take a quick look at the app here so you can see, similar to like a card interface. This is last night. I did get a lot of sleep, but not very good sleep. We'll start up in the right-hand corner here. If you click, you can actually see the Ring's remaining battery. So we got about 36% left, and it'll give charging recommendations. This will actually turn red once it gets a little bit lower. On the upper left, got a few other settings and information here. Nothing too important to go into at this point. Readiness probably being the one most people are curious about. As you can see, my readiness is a little bit low. I think that's due to the sleep last night, even though it wasn't a long amount. Not usual for me. But you can see here what's going on and why. There's the readiness score that it is. And you can click on any of these cards and it'll take you to its spot. The thing that's a little bit confusing, I'll show you here, like with sleep, if I click on the card here in the front, it takes me to this screen. It gives me a little bit of recommendation and a graph of what my sleep is. But if we go to sleep here, you'll see it's a completely different interface. That's one of the newer changes that they made. You can see my deep sleep was nonsense last night, even though it was a long amount of sleep. Another change that they implemented, which is huge because I do feel like there's a little bit of an inconsistency when it comes to the OURA picking up when you're falling asleep versus like if you're just laying down in bed reading a book, or if you're very still watching TV. It may bump your sleep start time earlier, but now they put in a little button here and you can take away that inactivity that it might register as sleep. So you can get a much more accurate sleep start time, which is awesome. I'm so glad. That was going to be one of the recommendations that I would mention in this video, but now I no longer have to. And you can see it goes over the resting heart rate. I'll leave it to you guys to do all of your own research on if all of these things are meaningful or not. I believe that they are, but we're not here to talk about that today. And then you can see it gives you the readiness score. And you can actually click on any of these as well, and it'll give you more information about each of those, and you can scroll through them. So they did a good job with that. I wish there was a little bit more prescriptive information in some of these, as opposed to maybe why you may be experiencing high or low levels of X, Y, Z, whatever these are. I wish there was a little bit more actionable insights of like, hey, your deep sleep is extremely low. Here's some things that you can do to really bump that up. And it would be really cool if that recommendations, or if those recommendations were based on scientific studies. So that's just me. I like to nerd out on that kind of stuff. So same thing, you can see the activity for today. You click on it, you'll get this view. And if you go back out, but you click on activity here, you'll see it's a much different view, giving you a whole bunch of different information here. The crown means you're meeting or exceeding your goals, so you'll want to see those on sleep, activity, readiness, all of those you want to see crowns. Crowns are good, and again, gives you breakdowns of everything here, and an hourly breakdown of your activity. So that's pretty cool. A little more in-depth, I think, than some other more basic trackers out there. And you can make notes for if you're traveling, or if it's like really hot where you're sleeping. If there's anything like that you want to kind of track and correlate to your sleep, you can do that here very easily. And I think eventually they'll start tying data points to, like, if you had a really late coffee, something like that. But no promises there. And then you can also do an activity type. So you can see here all the different activities, and you would just select one of those. And let's say strength training, which is typical for me, it'll ask you what your start time is, your duration, and then your intensity. It gives you 3 levels here. And then once you put that in, it'll count towards your activity goals for the day. So that's pretty nice. And then a little bit of bedtime recommendations there. And we'll go into the readiness score here. So you can see everything is scrollable, so you can go by different days, which is really, really nice. The temperature thing I think is really cool. Kind of as a male allows you to see, how stressed out your central nervous system is, or if you're starting to come down with a cold. As a female, I think it's accurate enough to where you can actually track your cycle, which I think is really awesome for that perspective as well. And again, can drill down into any of these. I really like that. But again, I do wish there was a little bit more prescriptive information in there. I think that would be really cool. Shows your heart rate variability. I have a long way to learn, or much, much more to learn about the heart rate variability, but I think it's great that it's in there as long as it's resting heart rate. And there you go. And I think, there's a little bit more of a view there that you can scroll through and have like a really beautiful representation, or we could do weekly and you can really see trends of like, oh wow, most Sundays I get a great night's sleep, or most Tuesdays I'm not sleeping very well, or whatever that is. And then going out even further monthly. So that's pretty cool. I think that's, it was back then. That's when I got it. So it's been a few months. I guess I've been improving and then rapidly not improving. So that's not good. Lots of things to work on there. But so that's a quick look at the app. That's most of the settings of the app. I'll go ahead and turn that off. What I'll do right now too is this camera is harder to show super up close. So I'll switch shots and give you guys a really up close look at the ring and how it's held up over time. Again, disregard the gaffer's tape on there. That's just to keep it from showing that QR code that's underneath there, so we don't have to do any stuff in post. And now I just wanted to talk for a little bit. So maybe I'll do it over that footage about some of the positives and negatives that I've experienced over the time, and also some feature requests that I think that would really take this to the next level. One thing would be time zone suggestions. So being that it's always connected to your smartphone, it just makes so much sense that if it notices a time zone shift, to give you a push notification of a better time to go to bed to help get you over jet lag, especially if you're going somewhere that is, halfway across the world, something like that. Just seems like a really good opportunity with as much information as it has on you as a user to accurately recommend that type of data. I think would be awesome. Linking heart rate to the alarm clock, I think, would be also awesome. I know right now there's no way to live monitor your heart rate on the ring, even though theoretically I guess it's possible. Hopefully that comes at some point, because I think that would be super rad. But even keeping it in the background, I think a really cool feature would be able to tell the app, hey, I want to wake up at 6 a.m., and then it will be able to tell like what stage of sleep you're in, because obviously that's what it's doing already, and be able to send off your alarm to wake you up in that time that's that's the best time to wake you up, basically, because there's all that science around pulling you out a certain stage of sleep is much better, and you won't feel as groggy and all of that kind of stuff. I just think it'd be a cool feature to have, and since it's kind of getting all of that data anyways, why not? Definitely a differentiator. And then back to that previous point, a live heart rate monitor would be perfect for all kinds of scenarios. You're in a meeting and you're getting stressed out and you want to pull it down, or in the morning, you want to do a little meditation and see where your heart rate's at. If you're working out and you want to just check to make sure you're in a good zone, boom, good to go there. Especially with all these things popping up like Orange Theory and all of that, you can kind of do that on your own with this, even if it does eat a little bit more battery life. Hey, it's a trade-off I'd be willing to take. Push notifications for low battery, I think, would be really, really great, especially while the ring is in airplane mode. So right now, you can turn the ring into airplane mode, but the only way to turn it off of airplane mode is to actually set it on the charger, and then it'll kick out of airplane mode and start charging and then sync with your phone. The only problem with that is you can't check the battery on the ring when it's in airplane mode because it's not sending any signals. So for me, I think it would be really, really cool. Even if I know there's people out there, I've mentioned this to the company already, they said there's people out there that are really adamant about making sure that the ring does not send or receive any signals in airplane mode. Totally agree. But there should be a subsetting that when it gets to 20% battery, something like that, the ring can kick out of airplane mode, ping your phone, say it's low battery, and kick itself back into airplane mode. I don't see why that's not possible, or at least a version of that I think would be really, really great. So people like me that wanted an airplane mode, but also want to make sure I'm not wearing my ring for 3 days after it's dead and I'm not collecting that data, that's a pretty poor use case scenario. But they say, you can throw it on for 15, 20 minutes before work, but then there's the hassle of switching it back into airplane mode, back out of airplane mode, all of that kind of nonsense. So just an idea. A lightweight desktop app would also be really, really cool. Being able to dive into some of this data online. There is an online version of the app, so I don't want to, or not version of that, but a website where you can check out all of your data. So I don't want to discount that. I think that's really awesome. But just being able to bring that to your physical desktop without being required to be online would be also awesome. And sometimes you can't see the notes and the readiness scores on the same page. So you can't see how your late night of drinking affects your sleep or your readiness score without kind of doing a little bit more digging. It would just be cool if there was an easier way to correlate some of that data. And a fever notification or the ability to check your temperature live, I think would also be really awesome. Like if it does notice like, hey, you're 0.4 or 0.5, 0.8, 1 degree higher than you normally are, you may be coming down with something, like this is the time to take it easy. That would be, again, back to that prescriptive information. I think that would be really, really cool. And then also, even if you were able to monitor it live, I think it would be awesome. So like I do saunas every now and then, ice baths, all that kind of stuff. It would be really cool to just pop in the app and see like, is it affecting my internal temperature? Not a deal breaker by any means. These are just features I think would be really cool to see. So before I'll do the negatives first. There's a couple of small things, little gripes that I've picked up over time. This again, I'll try and show in the close-up video, but at this side of the ring, not the top where it's nice and smooth here, but on the underside, the rest of the ring is actually very sharp, and you'll actually be able to see in some of the finish is worn away because of how sharp it is. That's very uncomfortable for myself, or like, I don't know, anything the ring itself is rubbing across. So I guess the molds are a little too precise, but if they could just make it rounded like the top of the ring, there'd be no issue at all. Just that little bit of rounding makes all of the difference in the world. And then also, like, because it's so sharp, it scratches while you're like washing your hands. It sounds really small, but when you're doing that multiple times a day, it really becomes, it presents itself and becomes a little bit of a nuisance. The finish does scratch, so I guess I have not had the original OURA ring, but I heard that ceramic finish was like unbeatable. It was ridiculous. Like you could do anything to it and it would just keep going, no problems at all. This being that new titanium ring and finish, it does get beat up. I haven't babied it, but I also I'm not doing deadlifts and stuff with this on my finger. I don't want to crack the ring in half. Not that I'm lifting heavy weights. I just don't want to take the chance. So if that bothers you, just know that is going to happen. Your ring will scratch. It does not bother me. I don't care at all. As long as it still functions and it doesn't crack in half, we're good. I think the biggest negative for me, it happened twice. And they have done a ton of app updates in this since I got the ring until now. But I need to mention it lost 2 nights of sleep data. You just go to pair the ring and it's like there's no information found. Turn off your phone on airplane mode, turn it back on, see if it syncs. It doesn't. I reached out to customer support and there's nothing they can do really. It's just lost data. For someone like me, especially for the sleep data, that's like 100% of the reason why I bought this. Is crucial. So like if I'm buying a product to do a thing and it's not doing the thing, that's a big deal. It has been, you guys saw, since like August basically since I've got this. So it's been a pretty long amount of time, and to only lose data twice is pretty good, but I have to mention it. And I think, in all the updates that they've done, they may have fixed whatever that issue was, but I just wanted to present it to you as well so you make your own decision. So this has been corrected, but it would start tracking sleep earlier because I do like to try and get in bed 20, 30 minutes before actually falling asleep, read a little bit, disconnect from screens. But even there were some nights where it was starting my sleep, quote unquote, as I was like watching TV, even though I was fully awake, and then I would get up and brush my teeth, use the restroom and then go to bed. it would still count all of that time as sleep. So it would be saying I'm going to bed at like 7 p.m., when in reality it would be 10 p.m. some nights. So now, like I was showing earlier on the app, you actually have the ability to bump that slider forward or backwards to accurately start your start time of sleep. So this is no longer an issue. I'm really happy the team fixed that, because it really has made a huge difference. And I feel like the ring's gotten a little bit more sensitive. So I would say 5 out of 7 nights a week, I'm actually going in there and adjusting my start sleep time. So I'm really happy that that's in there. And I think that's most of them as far as negatives. I think everything else it's done pretty good, so we'll get into that. It is extremely light. Everyone I've handed this to, everyone who's felt it, including myself, was very surprised picking it up at how light it was. So if you do buy one of these, expect that. You'll still be blown away. I'm telling you right now, you'll hear me saying it's extremely light. You'll pick it up and you'll still be like, wow, that is really light. Don't be turned off by that, though. Again, having not babied this at all for the last few months, it's held up incredibly well. No issues whatsoever. Again, saunas, ice baths, ocean, water, everything that you could kind of think of, daily showering, of course, all of that stuff, no issues whatsoever. And then obviously the occasional workouts too, just nothing with like super heavy weights, or if I'm doing something with like a really knurled bar, usually don't wear it then either. I love that there's no lights or buzzers or speakers. It sounds silly, but it really makes wearing this device not feel like wearing a smart device. I've even got compliments on it that people have no idea what an OURA ring is, and they're like, wow, that's a really nice, because I use it as my wedding band typically. That's a really nice wedding band. Like, my husband would love something like this, and then it's a great opportunity for me to pull it off and show him, like, and it has all of these other features. And it's kind of a cool conversation starter when people are approaching you based on the fashion of the ring and not the function. That lets you know OURA is doing something really well, in my opinion. I like that it does a push notification to your phone when it's finished charging. So if your phone is within that Bluetooth range, once your battery of your ring is fully charged, it will send a push notification to your phone just letting you know the ring is charged and ready to rock and roll. There is also a pulsing light on the charger, so when it is charging, the white light will be pulsing, and when it is fully charged, it will be solid. The white light will be solid and no longer pulsing. So there's a visual cues there as well. And as mentioned, I have received compliments on the ring. I think that's really cool. That's not why I bought this at all, but it's really nice side effect of having something that's really well designed. And I would have to also say the claims of the battery life are true. I would say typically I probably charge it like twice a week, but you could easily do that like every 5+ days. And I think longer if it was in airplane mode. Because of the issues with airplane mode, I only wear it just with Bluetooth on. I never do the airplane mode. So I'm sure it would be even longer if, you're doing, if you're having it in airplane mode and then just syncing every now and then. But I mean, a solid 5+ days of wearing this once it's fully charged is pretty epic, in my opinion. It allows you to go on, short trips, stuff like that, without having to worry about charging the ring. As long as you charge it before your trip, you just wear it like a normal ring, and you're still getting all of that great information. And then whenever you get home, throw it on the charger again. If you do have to bring your charger, I love that they made it rather small, just a little bit larger than the base of the ring, so it's not a cumbersome piece of equipment to bring with you if you are going on a longer stay and you want to still get your sleep and activity data. So they've done a lot right. I'm very impressed. It's very comfortable to wear, again, minus the sharp edges. If they could make those just that little bit rounded, I think we'd be most of the way there, honestly. You don't feel the bumps at all. I love that there's no lights, anything, again, mentioned. So I'm a huge fan, and I think for that $300 price point, they do a really good job of cramming in a lot of technology and value into this package. But I also think if you hang out for a little bit, they do a good job of working with affiliates and putting it on sale every now and then. And I think I paid $199 for this, and for $199, I would highly recommend, if you're interested in this type of information collecting about yourself, go grab one of these and give it a shot. And keep an eye out for the sales. They throw them on sale every now and then as well. And I want to appreciate everyone hanging out for a little bit. I know it took a while to get this review, but I just wanted to make sure I had the most accurate app updates to reflect, the experience as I'm publishing the review. And then I also just wanted to really put the ring itself through the ringer and kind of give it a true test for time. Because I know a lot of people are throwing up reviews after 2 weeks of use and stuff like that, and it's kind of, how accurate can you feel? But I just wanted to really beat it up. So it held and did well. So I appreciate you all hanging in there. I would really appreciate it if you liked, shared, and subscribed this video so that we can grow this channel together. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and look forward to hanging out again soon. Take it easy.